Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a review video for the 2020 RBC Heritage, where Webb Simpson is your winner. He was one of my favorite plays, as well as everyone else in the DFS industry. So it's not like my tout on him alone was special by any means, but it feels good, to have someone that you just have a good feeling they're gonna do well, and they end up, pulling it off. I owned him in like 50% of my lineups, but most of those lineups had Hideki Matsuyama in it, so I was not. Hideki sunk my lineups, so I didn't do that well this week. But we were on Webb. I wish I was more of a betting person, because I probably would have put some money down on Webb. But I'm just strictly DraftKings. Okay, before we get into the rest of the video, I do want to remind you guys that you can watch us in a faster speed. If you're on desktop, go ahead, drag your mouse onto the screen, over my face, anywhere here. You're going to see a gear icon somewhere down there. Drill down on that. You'll find playback speed. Choose whatever speed you're more comfortable listening to. I prefer 1.5, but again, whatever speed you're comfortable with. If you're on mobile, you're going to find those options top right corner. You're going to find 3 dots that make a vertical line. Drill down on that. Find playback speed there. Once again, choose your speed. I will have timestamps in the description, so go ahead, find whatever part of the video you want to watch to make things faster. That's what it's all about, is making life easy, right? Okay, let me throw up or put up the player pool criteria that I had. We were looking for golfers that had course history. We were looking for golfers that had Bermuda. We're looking for golfers that had Pete Dye. Now, in the lineup construction video, those two, Bermuda and Pete Dye, we actually had filters with that, and it actually turned out to be pretty decent. I was looking for golfers that had a Bermuda average of 56 or better, so that's just their average finishing position at Bermuda golf courses. We were also looking for Pete Dye average finishing position 60 or better, so we'll see that. And course history, we were just looking for some. I don't remember quite how well that rated out, but we'll get to that when obviously we get to that part. And then the bucket system, I was looking for 2 last year 1s, 2 last year 2s. I believe it worked out. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we'll take a look at it. Before we get into like the 2020 DK spreadsheet, I do want to pull up the results tab, just because we have this populated in here now. This tournament was so much different, or I should say this year's tournament is so much different than the other tournaments, partly because it was 2 months after that it typically plays. So it usually plays in April, the week after the Masters. We're in, the 3rd week of June, and we were playing on Bermuda grass as opposed to POA. Temperatures were warmer, so they couldn't, basically they couldn't cut the greens super low because they would lose them. The greens were very responsive. There was a lot of rain that had happened, so these guys could fire at the pins and have no consequence. The ball did not roll very far. It didn't spin a lot either. So basically, right where they were having the ball land, they would just stop right there, which makes scoring super easy for these guys. And these are pros. They know how to hit the ball, where they want to aim it, or where they want it to be. Obviously, those that don't have that capability aren't going to do well, but you have someone like Webb Simpson, Abraham Answer, Daniel Berger, all really good ball strikers. Tyrrell Hatton, even, super good ball striker. That leaderboard right there that you see, nothing but ball strikers. Brooks, you could say, is more of a bomber, but he's also a good ball striker as well. So yeah, impressive top 10 leaderboard. But I do want you guys to see the score. The score is ridiculous compared to any other year. 12 under is basically your average winning number at this tournament. 12 under was 33rd place. That's insane. Super insane. So obviously, ball strikers, birdie or better golfers, those guys excelled this week. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the 2020 recent form tab. I usually start all my review videos this way, where we can see salary. All the little tick marks here are optimal lineup. The light blue are golfers that were in the whatever tournament, like the highest price tournament that I play in, the GPP. whatever the first place lineup is, that's what's highlighted in blue. And surprise, surprise, it was the optimal lineup. You couldn't get any better than what this person had. So they use a salary of $49,900 to get 743.5 points. And obviously those golfers were Webb Simpson, Abraham Ancer, Daniel Berger, Tyrrell Hatton, Joaquin Niemann, and Brooks Koepka. And as you look at all the other points here, you obviously can't get anything more. So it was that. That's amazing. That's the first time I've ever seen a pure optimal lineup in any of the GPPs. Meaning, if you didn't have this, you weren't winning it. So kudos to the guy that had it. I can't remember. It's like Nate Knock or something like that. Knock Nate, or I don't remember the name. But congrats to him. First time I've ever seen the optimal lineup. Pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and look at the 2020 DK spreadsheet, where we have a little bit more information that we can use. So first off, let's actually go over the player pool criteria, and we're gonna actually go in reverse order. No, never mind. We're gonna go in the same order. I'll throw the filter up. I'm not sure if, okay, perfect. So we were looking for golfers with some course history. I'm gonna go ahead, just hide this information for now. And that way we can just look at course history. We can look at all the stats that we want, you know, all the stats we're looking for. So we were looking for golfers with some course history. We had 3 golfers who have never golfed here after 2013, basically. So it's actually 2013 to present day. Sergio hasn't golfed here. Joaquin Niemann hadn't golfed here. Brooks Koepka had not golfed here. I'm sure Sergio has golfed here in the past, but it was prior to 2013. So I don't have that course history. But regardless, as you can see, like all of your golfers in the top 10, essentially what we have, let me just do this really quick. We had 10 golfers out of 13 that had course history. And it was some course history. It wasn't good course history per se. It was, you know, just a variety of different course history stats. A lot of these golfers, it looks like they've only golfed here once, like obviously JT Poston with a 6th place finish. Last year, his course history average is 6, so that obviously means that was his first tournament the year before. But still, again, we weren't looking for good course history, we weren't looking for bad course history, we just wanted a mix of them, so it worked out. Course history was perfect. The other thing we were looking for were golfers that had a average finishing position at Pete Dye golf courses of 60 and below. And as you can see, that worked out perfectly. If we were to go ahead and put that filter on, filter by condition, if you didn't know how to do this, I'm showing you right now, less than or equal to 60. Put that on there. We don't lose anyone from the top 10. We do lose some guys from 10 to 20, but for the most part, out of 20 golfers, we have 18 that survived that condition. So obviously that condition worked out. And that put our player pool down to 105 from, sorry, I don't remember what it was. I should have kept my mind on that. 152. I see 155, but I do know 3 golfers were out and 1 withdrew. So 151, sorry, 151 golfers. So that this alone removed 50 golfers by putting this condition in. Less than or equal to 60. And then the other thing that we wanted to do was find golfers that had a Bermuda average of 56 or lower. And as you can see, we would have missed out on getting Abraham Ancer. So that one didn't really pay off, but as you can see, everyone else here is under that number. That's here in the top 10. So I think we could survive not having Abraham Ancer, but obviously first place finish had the optimal lineup. So like that's a little bit difficult to say, to swallow and be like, yep, we're cool with that. But let's go ahead and put that average or that condition down. So now we have, it's 104 golfers. Sorry, I'm forget not to count this. So we're down to 104 golfers. Let's go ahead and put that condition in, less than or equal to 56. And that cuts it down to 84 golfers. So we knocked out 20, which is not bad. As you can see, we had enough golfers. These salaries here equal 49,200. Easily could have done that, no problem. So the filters worked out pretty nicely. So that was our player pool 1 through 3. Like those, I wouldn't call them rules, but basically those rules all covered. I'm gonna go ahead and remove these filters now because I want to get into like the swing stats. Actually, let's work our way. Actually, let's just go down that player pool criteria that I was talking about. So obviously we had the course history down. We have the overall Pete die stats down, and Bermuda. We did those conditions. I showed you what we were looking for. The other thing that we were looking for, as I scroll over here, we wanted 2 last year 2s and we wanted 2 last year 1s. So obviously you can see the last year 1s. Yeah, especially with Tyrrell Hatton in there and Joaquin Niemann being in the optimal lineup, absolutely. Now it gets a little different because we had Webb, that was a last year 2, and we had JT Poston last year 2, and Michael Thompson a last year 2. They finished outside the top 8, and I guess I don't know how many points Poston scored. He scored 103, so that's not terrible. We would have to, you know, if we were to put Poston in our lineup, let's just say we grab, let's do something. So Poston was 7,500, so we'll take out Joaquin Niemann, and so we'll do something like this. This equals 50,000 on the button. So if we were to do our points, add those up, we have 728 optimal lineup. I mean, Poston scored, 15.5 points less than Joaquin Niemann. It'll win you money. It's not going to win you, whatever. So in theory, the bucket system would have landed you, the right players, especially if you were to choose going with the last year 2. So yeah, it worked out. So all of our player pool criteria worked perfectly. It was just a matter of time or not a matter of time, but a matter of putting those guys in the right lineups. Over in this column here, just so you guys, if you guys are looking at this and you're wondering what it is, this is how many times I wanted to play a golfer out of 100 lineups. As you can see, I had Abraham Answer at 0, which was probably a mistake. Honestly, he was $8,000. 55 to 1. I think we shouldn't, unless you're the type of golfer that likes to super narrow down their pool and just go with, a core of 4 golfers and then just throw in 2 every once in a while, or if you're single entry guys, I just don't see a reason to fade someone. Like at least let's have one lineup out of 100 that have Abraham Answer. Now, this is kind of a work in progress. I'm evolving, trying to figure it all out. But yeah, that was a bad move on my part. Abraham Answer didn't make the cut when it came to Bermuda average. That's why he wasn't in here. But I do wish that I'd play him in like 1 or 2 lineups. That's the only thing. He might not even be in one of the better lineups. I may never pair him up with a Webb Simpson. But I should never fade him completely is what I'm getting at. Yeah, you can look at all the other last year buckets, last week buckets, and you can see we don't see any 5s, we don't see any 6s. We don't see a lot of 3s and 4s. We see a lot of 1s. I guess we see more 4s down here, but when we're looking at the top 10, it's primarily 1s, 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 2s. Or 3 2s, I should say. So anyways, yeah, 1s and 2s worked out perfect. Let's go ahead and look in some of these other things. Tee times. Let's see how many golfers were paired together at the top of the leaderboard. So we have Joaquin Niemann and Tyrrell Hatton. They played together. So you already have one pairing down. We have Brooks Koepka and Daniel Berger, another pairing down. We also have Bryson and Webb. Oh my God. So imagine creating a lineup with these 6 golfers. And obviously we couldn't completely put those guys together because their salary was a little too large. But let's say, if we do something like this, so we have to get rid of $2,600. In all reality, it's probably going to be something between Bryson and Webb. And if you take $2,600 away from Webb, then we're at $6,400, which probably doesn't work out. Not, you know, no matter what. So, yeah, Bryson, difficult to play. So maybe we see that when we're creating lineups. Obviously, this is just, who knows if we'd ever get to this point when we're creating lineups. But obviously, if we like this, maybe we put Bryson together with, yeah, let's put Bryson and Webb together, and then let's just say we don't want to pair up Berger and Brooks, and then we just do something like this. We'll go with a 4 like that, and then do something, can't do that. Maybe we could do something like this. Now that doesn't really perfectly work out the way that I'm thinking of, but it is interesting to see that these guys are paired together. Like, I'm a competitive golfer, so I know when you play in a group, you feed off of each other if you're doing well. You might even go the opposite way if someone's doing poorly, or you might be the lone wolf in the group that either does well or does poorly. But I think starting lineups with doing this, and I'm going to do that next week in our lineup construction video. I'm going to find my favorite golfers, and then I'm going to start lineups pairing them with their other playing partners. This is the second week in a row where we've seen 6 golfers. Actually, we've seen 3 different pairings that found their way in the top 10. So it's definitely something that we want to look at. Just trying to see if I can find anything else anymore, and I can't. So very interesting stuff. I will go ahead and hide this. These are 2 fields that really don't matter. I was just messing around with stuff. We don't need to look at any of this anymore. Okay, let's go ahead. This is where we'll look at grass stats now. Your top overall die golfers. We had 5 golfers inside the top 20, 6, 7 guys inside the top 20. So overall die looked pretty good. If we take out the golfers that only have 1 thing of experience or 1 event under their belt, you couldn't go wrong with the top guys up here when it comes to peak die average. Obviously Matsuyama sunk us, Jason Day sunk us, but Poulter was another. Like, I was on Poulter primarily because he fit all those molds, and obviously you can see the percentages right here. It's, you know, it speaks for itself. The top 10, so like Sergio's number is going to go up, Webb's will go up, Brooks's will go up, not Rose. Justin Thomas's will go up from 5.56. His average will actually go down for overall die now. So he will be a golfer you'll look more into. So yeah, really interesting stuff. And if we do that with the same thing with Bermuda, we'll go ahead and actually select all of these. And then we have 1 golfer here that only had 1 event under his belt that was Bermuda. But Christian Bezuidenhout got 28th place. Not bad. We do find 5 other golfers, or I should say 5 golfers that did finish inside. Oh, I can't do math. We have 7 golfers that finished inside the top 20. 4 of them finished inside the top 10, and this is your overall Bermuda. So Bermuda again was something we wanted to look for. Obviously, we didn't find 6 golfers that finished inside the top 10. But I'm also never telling you to play 6 golfers that have overall Bermuda. Like if you went top to bottom, the best Bermuda golfers in the game, I wouldn't say something like that. I think what we were looking at, did we have this in our 2019 DK page? We did. So I would have talked about how many you want there, and again, we have this highlighted for tee times that were paired up together. So it all adds up. It all makes sense. So this was your Bermuda stats. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the swing stats. So as we look at all the top guys here, well, first of all, here are your golfers that don't have enough tournaments under their belt to have stats from the PGA show up. But as you can see, none of them really did that well. So I'm going to go ahead and hide all the blanks. That way we can just get, right away be up at the top. So tee to green, Tyrrell Hatton, your top guy. This was heading into the tournament. This isn't, these stats here are all stats heading into the tournament, not after the conclusion. So Tyrrell Hatton, your top guy, tee to green. I didn't see this when we looked at the other years, but 8 golfers, tee to green, top tee to green stats heading into this tournament. And this is obviously from the beginning of the year, which you have to take into account that whole 3-month long, layover, what do you want to call it, because of the pandemic. So a lot of these stats probably really don't matter in all seriousness. Prior to the RBC Heritage, we had only 1 tournament, and the next tournament that was played before that was, again, 3 months ago. So we have no recent form to look at some of these shots gained tee to green. We could obviously use like the tournament from last week to determine, if any of these golfers had good tee to green stats, and if there's any correlation that way. But yeah, 8 golfers that top 20, or I should say, well, this would be the top 20 of this stat. And 20 of those, 8 golfers finished inside the top 20. That's pretty darn good. Off the tee, again, we're seeing kind of the same number, but if you're a good tee to green, most likely I shouldn't say most likely, but you're going to have a few golfers inside the top 20 for tee to green, or for off the tee. So yeah, we had 6 golfers right there. So you could have found 6 golfers inside the top 20 of off the tee that would have fit in your lineup, and it would have worked out well. Approach heading into this tournament was not something to really look at. I mean, sure, you had Tyrrell Hatton 3rd, Justin Thomas 8th, Webb Simpson, who actually obviously won the tournament. So I say like it didn't matter. You needed these golfers, at least you need Webb and Tyrrell Hatton in your lineup in order to win a lot of money. But for the majority, it's 3 out of 20 golfers of the top 20 approach stats heading into this tournament that finished inside the top 20 or just top 10. So again, we're not looking for 6 golfers up here. I shouldn't say again, but we were never looking for 6 golfers that were approach heading into this. So all the people out there are like, look for approach golfers coming into this tournament. Well, yeah, it would have got you on someone like Tyrrell Hatton, Webb Simpson, which would have been fantastic. But if you're confused by when people talk about that kind of stuff, if you were to grab 6 golfers here, although you would have had 1st place, 3rd place, and 8th place on your team, you probably wouldn't have won anything because you would have had too many missed cuts or too many poor finishes. Yeah, that's always something to keep in mind. Putting stats, it's no surprise. This is around the green. This is surprising. Around the green stats didn't matter because I'd heard throughout the entire week that chipping around these greens were going to be tough with the new Bermuda. But in all honesty, like the rough was so low, like it was short. It was so short that I don't think there was really any issues. The tight lies that were around the green were usually golfers would use putter or utility wood or something like that just to bump it through it. Like it really didn't play a huge factor. So in a way, I understand. I didn't know what the golf course was going to look like prior to. All I heard was like, yeah, Bermuda's going to be tough, around the green. If you're not used to that type of stuff, well, it didn't really matter here. Putting stats, yeah. Well, we have a few golfers that are at the top, more than we probably would have assumed. So that's interesting to look at. Green and reg percentage. Abraham Answer, I know, was 18 for 18 on Sunday for hitting the green. So his green and reg percentage is going to be pretty good. But as you can see, coming into the tournament, like Tyrrell Hatton pops up so much on these stats that maybe just looking at this, you're like, wow, really want Tyrrell Hatton on my team. I also really want Webb Simpson. You're also going to see, like, I want Hideki Matsuyama on my team. I would never go all in on these stats, ever. You got to pick and choose the right ones that you have some conviction on. So you can see proximity wasn't a big thing. We can go ahead. Let me just hide this now so we don't get confused. We're not so much confused, but want to make sure that we're getting everything here. Birdie or better percentage. I mean, some of the top guys here, let me filter out golfers that, you know, did not start this tournament. Your top 2 guys, birdie or better, obviously they finished really well. Tyrrell Hatton's up there, Daniel Berger, Bryson DeChambeau, pretty, you know, whatever. If you were to look at this and I told you needed to select 3 golfers to be in your lineup, you could make the play like, I am going to stick with just a core of 3. Hopefully you would have picked the right 3. Obviously, if you had Patrick Reed or Hideki Matsuyama or Sungjae Im, I know a lot of people were on Sungjae Im this week. I was not, and it was because of the bucket system, in all honesty. So that helped me out. I mean, I also didn't play any Bryson because of the bucket system. He ended up finishing 8th. It wouldn't have helped me, you know. So going by the bucket system, that's what helped me not be on some of these guys. But it put me on a lot of Hideki Matsuyama, which obviously missed the cut. Anyways, let's look at some of these other stats. I don't think I'm really talk about anything unless it really pops up like this. Driving distance, that's pretty amazing. Driving accuracy had nothing. For all those golfers that are, or all those DFS industry guys that are saying that accuracy is really important here, I'm not saying it isn't. Obviously it is, but like if you were looking at driving accuracy, not a huge thing. Good drive percentage. This is like accounting for iron shots off of tees and stuff like that. Sure, we found 3 golfers inside the top 3. That works out. Bogey avoidance was huge. Holy moly. Okay, so that's a good stat to go by. A really good stat to go by. Bogey avoidance at this tournament. So we'll think about that next year when we look at all of this. Okay, so the only other thing that I want to talk about, minus those things, are the bucket system. We'll review by the last year bucket. So we'll go 1 through 6. We'll look at everyone that was at the top. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and filter one by one, you know, like this. So we saw a 1-1. If I were to go back to the notes page where we see the bucket system scores. Oh, right. Okay, so we had 20 golfers that were last year ones over the last 6 years that finished inside the top 10. That would be 30% of the player pool inside the top 10 came from this bucket here, the last year too. Same goes with the golfers who did not play. There were 24 of them. So 66% of golfers inside the top 10 either top 20 or had a top 20 finish at this tournament the year before, or they didn't play. So that was kind of what we were looking for. You know, again, if you're with me when it comes to doing these lineup construction videos and stuff like that, or going through the bucket system, you're not going to be confused. But just so you know, I go and I look to see how many times that a 1-1 shows up, and we can see that right here. So I will go and I will count how many times we see a 1-1, and I'm just going through this fast. That show up in these tournaments, and then I do a count over here, how many years, 5 out of 6 years we've seen a 1-1, how many times, 15. So it was pretty big, and I divide 6 into 5 gives you 83%. That's why you see 83.33%. So we wanted 83.33% of our lineups to have a 1-1 in it. Not an issue, because in all honesty, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go salary first, because this is how I looked at it to begin with. I really liked Hideki Matsuyama at $9,500. I thought that was such a smart play. Definitely would have wanted to go with him or buy him. But then we look at the rest of the 1-1s. Sorry. Everybody else is $6,400 and less. I didn't want to play, any of these guys, really. It was between Ty Hatton and Hideki Matsuyama. And I just went with the wrong guy. I went with Matsuyama instead of Hatton, which, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, it's only because I was frustrated making lineups Wednesday. That's just how it turned out. So yeah, bad on me. I'll learn how to figure this out going forward. But yeah, 1-1s. Fantastic. 1-2s. We had one. Sergio was up there. Well, I suppose Dylan Fratelli was too. And 50% of our lineups, we wanted a 1-2 in them. Well, I mean, if we did go just by 50% and we chose the right golfers, you know, I was really high on Ricky. And then I just thought the next value play was Jason Day. Should have really, you know, like if you were doing an actual pivot, going from Jason Day to Sergio Garcia is probably a good play. So yeah, we could have easily got to Sergio if we want to play. He wasn't part of the optimal lineup, but he was pretty darn close. 1-3s. We had Rory leading the 1-3s, but again, we had Brooks, we had Joaquin Niemann. I shouldn't say again, we weren't talking about this, but it's no surprise. And again, 50% of the lineups we wanted a 1-3 in. So as you can see, like if we did follow the bucket system, chances are we could have gotten on these golfers super easy. You can make your player pool based off of this. Super easy. Unfortunately, again, I didn't go. 1-4s, like it's so 16% of 1-4s we wanted. And really Justin Thomas would not have put us, you know, would not have given us a GPP win, but he would have helped us, you know, win some money. 1-5s, didn't really think too much of 1-5s. Then now we get down into our 2-1s, which Michael Thompson ended up being a 2-1. I was more on Sam Burns. The rest of these golfers, so I won't lie, Michael Thompson was an X for me. These golfers did not have good they did not have good Pete Dye stats or Bermuda stats. So as I scroll over here, KJ Choi just missed out. I mean, I wanted to play KJ Choi. Michael Thompson's the only guy we want, but his overall Dye stats and Bermuda stats were not good. So maybe we first filter out by condition and then we come back and we fill in, and then, you know, maybe we do, especially for like this high in numbers, we just add one of each. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a huge deal in not getting Michael Thompson, so I'm not too worried. 2-2s. 66% of our lineups, we wanted 2-2s in them. Obviously, that got me on Webb quite a bit. You know, 35 out of 100 lineups, pretty good, especially when his ownership percentage is 26, so that technically means we're overweight on him. I was also overweight on Matt Kuchar. 41st place didn't help out at all. Didn't help anything. Coming down to our 2-3s, that got me on Ian Poulter. It was between Poulter and Cabrera Bello. We wanted 50% of our lineup, so out of 150, I really shouldn't have gone with something like this. But I mean, if it was between Poulter or Cabrera Bello, not a huge deal. Like honestly, if 20 lineups sink us because of Bello, you know, RCB, then obviously 30 is going to help us with Ian Poulter. 2-4s we didn't see a lot of, but as you can see, I'm playing these 2-4s because those things, you know, the bucket tells me to. 2-5s, yeah, I put some lineups in with these guys. Didn't really see Scott Piercy, obviously 0% and missed the cut, so that was pretty nice. 3-1s, really nothing. Stuart Sink was doing well. Chris Stroud was doing well at one point in time. Obviously you can see I had 15 shares of him, of Stuart Sink. I think Russell Henley just missed the cut. Oh, he missed the cut by 2. He shot 1 under both days, so didn't really help us out. 3-2s, as you can see, nothing was really. I mean, we didn't have a good player pool to begin with 3-2s, so that was easy to kind of ignore. I didn't play a lot of people from there. Same thing with 3-3s. Didn't really have a good player pool, so I just ignored it. 3-4s had a lot of good golfers in them with your player pool. Obviously, you have 2 golfers there that finished inside the top 10. And because it was at 0%, I chose not to play them. It's foolish on me. I have to figure out a way to determine these buckets. Like, so this year's stats will, I'll obviously capture these stats, put them into the bucket system, and it will change the scores a little bit. However, when that happens is now we don't have 6 years, we have 7 years, right? If we were to predict that someone from this bucket was going to be in it, that would mean we would divide 1 into 7, and that would get us 14%. So 14% of my lineups, I should have really played, you know, golfers from here. I don't even know. I mean, if we're going 14% out of 100, obviously that's 14 lineups. If I was to do something like that, like Bryson would be my favorite. I'd go probably like 8, 4, 3. So that's 15. That's already too much. So maybe I go. I like Bryson so much, so I probably would have went with something like this. And in all honesty, I still would have done probably 4. All right, so we're off by 3. Maybe I do something like this then. It gives me exposure to these golfers. Obviously, it's not going to win me anything because I'm not playing a lot of these golfers a lot. But if I did buy the bucket system, like this is how I should have added it up. 3 5s, 0%. Got me off of Jim Furyk. Got me off of Ben An. I'm glad. So like the bucket system helped there. 4 1s, 33%. There's 2 golfers in it. Not very good. I mean, Luke Donald had been good here before, but he's aging, not good. Or not going the right way, obviously. JJ Spawn, he's battled injuries for a long time, and really recent form wasn't showing me anything. 65, like I didn't want to play JJ Spawn. I don't even know if I actually played this many times, but that's what I had as my stats. The 4-2s were interesting because it shows 16%, but again, if we change that to 2 out of 7, I think that goes to like 24% we want to play. I don't remember the exact number, but we should have went something like that because this group was pretty decent when it came to 4-2s. Just having Dustin Johnson there alone helps out quite a bit. Actually, when I look at this, I probably would have left it as is, honestly. I'm not even going to regret this one. Matthew Fitzpatrick, 4 3s, 4 4s. Look at that. Daniel Berger, the only 4-4. Obviously, great recent form. He actually checked all the boxes for recent form and Pete Dye average. Not recent form, but Bermuda average and Pete Dye average. 33% of him. I was like, yep, I'm going all in on Daniel Berger for this bucket. So 33% is all I did. So that's what I ended up going with, 33. 0% for 4 5s. Obviously, these guys wouldn't have helped you out that much, although Alex Noren did score a lot of points on DraftKings, so he would have helped. 4 6, didn't want to touch. 5 1s, we don't see 5s a lot, so this number we have to curb a little bit. And I don't even think we saw 5s inside the top 10. When we look here, 5s. 1 golfer inside the top 5, I should say, over the last 6 years. And then we go to our 5s here. And 4 golfers. See, this is what we really got to look at. It's probably more of a trend thing. This was at a different time prior to, golfers really working out and getting better. Like, this is your modern day golf, basically. This is kind of still remnants of like Ernie Els and golfers like that. So, and VJ Sings and stuff like that. We probably should have went something like here where there are 0 5s. Definitely kind of missed the ball on that one because I played those guys in my lineups. Didn't help me out at all. But yeah, 5s I just basically stayed away from. Jordan Spieth, it's like, how do you not play Jordan Spieth even when his bucket system actually pops for the only 5s, basically? Oh, I just realized that this number should be the same as that. Oh, well. And then you get down to your 6s. Ryan Armour actually was doing well, so I had him in 33 of my lineups because it just showed up that way. Yeah, it didn't work out, but it's also got me off of someone like Xander, so that was awesome. I was a little on Brandon Grace, but yeah, the bucket system, I would say, all in all, was much more advantageous than it was not. So just something for you guys to digest, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm actually excited to go into our next preview video, into the next lineup construction video, because I do have a better sense of how to do this when it comes to trying to explain to you why we want to play certain golfers at certain golf courses, and looking at something like the bucket system is going to help us get on the right golfers. So hopefully you guys did well. I mean, like I said, I didn't do that the greatest, but that had a lot to do with my lineup construction. It was just when I got to it, although I had an elaborate plan of putting all those golfers together, I didn't execute it because I got frustrated, like I said, so I just stopped it. Which means in the future, I need to make it easier and just more fun and fast, so you guys will pick up on it too, and then hopefully it just works out, and we kind of have like a little nugget, you know, when it comes to creating lineups. So with that, I'm gonna leave you with that. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in a preview video tomorrow. All right, bye.